Greetings, ladies and geraniums, mud dams and messieurs, as the French people might say, cats and kittens. I'm Doc Hammond, and I'm here to tell you some stories today. Now, usually I come down to the Lunenburg Library to tell stories to people there, and some of you might have joined me there at some time in the past. But since the library's closed, Miss Debbie asked if I might record some stories. And that way maybe people could get to hear the stories even if we can't sit together, which of course is a nicer way to hear stories. But anyway, I'm over here in Townsend, which is where I live. I live in an old farmhouse. We call it Meadowcrest. And I live here with my wife and 3 dogs, 3 cats, some tropical fish. And of course we feed the wild birds outside too. So they keep us company lots of times. Anyway, I'm over here in Townsend. I'm up in my study, a comfortable little room, and this is a good place for me to try to tell you some stories. Now, I mentioned that I have 3 dogs and 3 cats, and some of those guys are right here with me now. I have my cat Renette over here. She's been keeping me company. Say hi, Renette. And around me, sitting next to me and lying on the floor next to me are my dogs Parker and Barrow, or Sparky and the Bear, I like to call them. I don't know if they're going to put in an appearance here, but maybe as I tell the story, they'll get interested and join me. In any case, we've got these dogs and cats together, and the 3 dogs we call the fabulous flop-eared, fur-faced flea flickers. We don't know what breeds they are, so we kind of made up a name for their breed. And they really are pretty friendly and wonderful guys. The cats, of course, are a mixed crew too, but generally speaking, they all get along pretty well. Some of you might have cats, some of you might have dogs, some of you might have dogs and cats together, but I suspect that many of you have noticed something about how dogs and cats get along, and that is that pretty much any time they have a chance to, dogs will chase cats. Now, even our dogs, these flop-eared, fur-faced flea flickers who've lived with our cats for quite a while now and are pretty good friends with them, look for almost any excuse to run after them and give them a chase. So I think it's something that dogs and cats have had going on for quite a while now. And if you've noticed that too, then you might have asked yourself, why is it that dogs always chase cats? Let me see if I can show you Parker's face right here. There she is. She's sitting right here with me. And so I thought I'd tell you a story about exactly that. A story about why dogs chase cats. Now, it wasn't always like that. A long, long time ago, dogs and cats really got along well. In fact, the dog and the cat were best friends. They used to do everything together. They would watch videos together. They probably had a favorite movie. They would play games on their computers. They would play soccer together. They would have naps together. And often they ate together. And in addition to doing all those things together and having all those things in common, the dog and the cat shared a favorite food. I wonder if you can guess what food was their favorite. Not a surprise to me, because my name is Doc Hammond, and their favorite food was ham. Yep, every chance they got, anytime they had a little spare change, they would go down to the local grocery store and back to the meat counter, and they would order a piece of ham. And then they would carry it home together and share it. Well, this went on for a very long time, and everything seemed to be comfortable. They seemed to be getting along very well. And then one day, the dog looked at his change, and he had a little bit. The cat looked at his change, and she had a little bit. Neither one had quite enough money to buy a piece of ham on their own, so they decided, the cat suggested, that they put their money together so they would have enough to buy a piece. And then they could take it home and eat it. And that's exactly what they did. They put their money together, they bought a nice big piece of ham, and they started home. Now, they took turns carrying the ham. And whenever the dog had his turn carrying it, he had a little song he would sing because he was so excited and happy about it. He would sing, "Our him, our him." It sounded kind of like a dog howling, because dogs do howl. But every time the cat had a turn and was carrying the hymn, he sang something different. What the cat sang was, "My hymn, my hymn," and then he would continue on his way. And that's how it happened. They walked back from the store toward where they lived, and they would take turns carrying it. And every time the dog carried it, he would sing his song, "Our hymn, our hymn." And every time the cat carried it, she would sing her song, "My hymn, my hymn." Finally, the dog got puzzled about this, and he stopped and he said, "Tell me this, Mr. Cat. How come it is that every time I carry the ham, I say, 'Our hymn, our hymn,' and what I say, makes it clear that we're going to share the ham together. And then every time you carry it, you say, 'My ham, my ham,' as if it belonged only to you. I don't understand why you're doing that. I really don't get it." But the cat didn't say anything. He just looked back and he crooked his tail in a question mark. You know how cats do. But the next time the cat had his turn, he took a hold of that piece of ham, and just once he said, "My ham," and then he ran off and he climbed up a tree and he went out on a tree branch and he started to eat the whole ham. Well, by now it must be clear why those animals were singing different songs. The dog intended to share, but the cat never did. She took off with that ham. And of course, dogs can't climb trees, so the poor dog couldn't do much about it except stand down at the bottom and snarl. "Oh, you come down here, you cat, you." Oh, Parker's getting excited about this again. But of course, the cat wasn't about to come down. And the dog couldn't do much at all about it. And he got tired of growling. And finally, when he was all tuckered out, he said, "Mr. Cat, I may not be able to do anything about this now, but if you ever come down out of that tree, I'm going to chase you until you drop." And that's why now, whenever a dog sees a cat, he's pretty likely to chase him.